Okay, so I want to stress before we get into it with this video that I am specifically talking about the Boruto that we are seeing from the manga. All of this is mainly my thoughts based on the Boruto manga, not the anime, because we all know, and in case you don't know, that the Boruto manga and anime is night and day. The anime is slowly adapting the source material of the manga. The manga been on fire for like 3 freaking years now, since like almost the tail end of 2017 up until this point. The anime, it has its hit and miss moments, but for the most part is like miss. So we're clear here, right? Like, we're talking about the Boruto and the story from the manga. Now that we got that out the way, Boruto, the character himself, has been very controversial surrounding the franchise as a whole. The Naruto and Boruto franchise being a main character at that. Boruto has been highly criticized, and I'm talking about the character in particular. I know the series has been too, but Boruto has been criticized. People have said from jump that how can I relate to him? He's a horrible main character. His big issue is that he has daddy issues, that daddy don't come home enough and he's always working and shit like that. People have bombed on Boruto, and I would definitely agree that in the beginning of Boruto, yeah, that was Boruto. He had daddy issues. He was always complaining like, Naruto don't come home, daddy. That was Boruto, hands down. But as the manga has progressed, I want to say even after the first 10, maybe 15 chapters at best, Boruto has progressed immensely as a character, and there's a hidden gem about Boruto in comparison to some of his, contemporaries that he's going up against right now that people love to compare him to, like the Dekus from My Hero Academia, the Astas from Black Clover, the characters that are on the rags to riches stories opposed to Boruto's character. Let's talk about it.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be though.
So yes, people, Boruto has been way 10 times to the max hated for a good chunk of the time from the Naruto fandom. A lot of people, especially in particular, I feel as though there's a wide variety of emotions and a wide variety of reasoning behind their discontent feeling towards Boruto. I mean, for starters, one of the biggest things, and it's not even really at the fault of the character, is that people wanted more Naruto. Like, they wanted to continue with the characters that they love, and in fact, that's still, to this particular point, kind of an issue with the Boruto series, is that the series is only really like 10 times to the max, and I keep saying that, I don't know why today, but yeah, the series is really at its peak whenever you bring in those characters. But again, that's not really to the fault of Boruto. You could argue, they should have done more to make these characters more exciting, more interesting, but you also got to look at where the story is at and what Naruto led to, because don't forget that one of the big things about Naruto was trying to get to a point of peace. They were trying to bring the shinobi world to a time of peace, and that would kind of undo every single act of what the Naruto manga stood for if Boruto just immediately starts off and everything is in ruins, and Boruto is going to war in the first chapter and shit like that. Well, yeah, they did the foreshadowing what goes down the line, but the point being is that Naruto had to have some type of reward for his hard work and his efforts. Like, there had to be a sustained certain amount of peace for the story. Like, if not, what was the point? And Madara was right, if anything. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a whole other discussion, because you could argue, look what's happening now and what's about to go down. And like I said earlier in the video, one of the biggest things that people had a problem with Boruto is that, you compare him to his father, you compare him to his contemporaries like Deku and Asta, all of these other characters people can relate to, people can understand or sympathize with their struggles, because, whether it was Naruto, that he had nobody, he had nothing as a child. He was basically abandoned in an apartment. The third Hokage was supposed to visit him from time to time, did that here and there, but for the most part he was alone. He was hated by everybody around him for he don't even know what reason until later on in the story. He was just like, he had a very bad hand, so when you go to that series and you go through the series, you love to see the rags to riches, from a hated, abandoned, lonely character to the entire village praising and loving him and admiring him, and seeing that come up. People love a come up rags to riches story. Again, you go to the contemporaries of Boruto, Deku, seeing him a scrub with no powers, a weakling, being bullied and picked on, to slowly but surely overcoming adversity. Again, one of the elements that people love to see, a character triumph through adversity, get to the top, climb their way up. Asta, blessed with, I don't want to say blessed with, but basically having an issue of not having magic in a magic-filled world. You feel like he's cursed, and seeing him claw his way up to the top. You know, I could go on and on of characters that had it rough. With Boruto, people looked at it as, so you're basically the son of the president or leader of your village here, giant town at this particular point. You got money, you got nice clothes, you got both your parents and a little sister, so you're not lonely. You're basically somewhat of a genius. You're very intelligent. What the fuck is your problem? How can anybody that, you know, loves the rags to riches story really be invested or really empathize, sympathize, any of that sort with Boruto? That's basically like, take it to the real world. Like, are you gonna more so care for the kid that, you know, rose out of poverty and made it to the top, or the kid that he's a rich kid, has had everything his entire life, but he's just sad because his dad ain't around all the time? You're gonna look at the kid from poverty and admire and respect and say, yo, you did it, fam, you did it, I love it. But here's the part of the story of Boruto where you gotta commend and look at it and say, oh, because Boruto is in a unique position as a character, as a protagonist. He is in a unique position opposed to, again, a lot of his contemporaries, even his predecessors, in terms of the fact that while they started off with nothing to lose, you know, Deku is like, he's weak, what more can he lose? Asta, he doesn't got magic, what more can he lose? Naruto, orphan, nobody around, what more can he lose? Boruto has everything to lose. He has his father, his mother, his village, his little sister, the friends all around him that like him. He has all of it, and it's all, even foreshadowed from Jump, is going to be taken away from him. So there's a struggle and something that you could sympathize and empathize with in that, because that also is a traumatic situation. And if you really think about it, just a little bit older, but in terms of character, we've known from Jump that Boruto is more like Sasuke and Sarada wants to be more like Naruto. And if that's the case, you telling me that you didn't feel bad for Sasuke, knowing that his whole family, that he had a pretty good life up until the Uchiha massacre from his brother. He had a great life, and then it was all taken away from him. Same path that Boruto is walking, and it's been foreshadowed. Like, we know that something happens to his father at some given point. In fact, there was panels upon panels, like in chapter 1 and even towards the end of the first saga, the Momoshiki stuff from Boruto Naruto the movie. He says, this is not my father's story, the kid that wanted to be Hokage. That was my dad's story. This is my story. But for just a little bit in the beginning, this is mine and my dad's story. So that definitely is another huge eyebrow raising point, on top of Kawaki saying, I'm gonna send you the way the 7th, on top of the fact that we know that the whole Konoha village is decimated, massacred. Boruto's friend that we now know, you know, was a friend at one given point, Kawaki, is his mortal enemy at that particular point. Yeah, and who knows what else happens if Sasuke is dead or whatnot. He has everything to lose. And while it's still a little bit more difficult, because not everybody in the world, in fact, a very small percentage of people in this world have everything that they could ever ask for and everything that they could ever want in terms of, like, you know, just everything Boruto starts off with, it's still a very tragic situation in and of itself. Having your family, everything that you love, the lifestyle, everything that you've ever wanted ripped away from you and destroyed. Which is why I say, hate it or love it, Boruto is in a unique position, and if they play it properly, I think that I could see a lot of people, especially moving into the time skip, moving forward into the series when the character gets older, sympathizing and changing their tune in terms of how they feel about Boruto. Yeah, it's hard for me to sympathize and understand a kid that has all of that, a kid that have a great life, but I can sympathize and empathize with a kid that lost everything, lost love, lost people they cared about, and had their life shaken upside down. I can feel bad for that. I can root for a character to rise up from all of that. So what I'm saying is this: Boruto 1, he's definitely changed, and we don't really need to go into that. I've done a video already, I believe, talking about that, how Boruto went from, you know, spoiled, knowing I want my dad, to where he's at right now. He takes things a little more serious. He's he's gone. He's been shown the ropes of life. He's learned a little bit more to stop bitching about, I want my father. Yeah, get in line with another couple billion people that want their dad too, fam. But also looking at it in terms of, like, again, comparing him to his contemporaries, Boruto is right now one of the only ones that has it all and will lose it all. And that's right there the powerful move that they can use to really utilize the character and truly do its own thing. Will it work? Will people really turn around and look at Boruto and really root for this character after seeing him basically be thrown into the fire and want to see him rise from the ashes? we just gotta wait and see. But I'm curious what you guys think about this in terms of comparing Boruto's struggle of having it all and seemingly getting ready to lose it all, opposed to a Deku that had nothing and has everything to gain, an Asta that has nothing and everything to gain, a Naruto that had nothing and everything to gain. Can you still respect and understand his struggle of losing it all? Or is it just that that's so foreign for a lot of us that we're just like, yeah, so what, you had a good life? But then again, when you look at the Naruto series, you rooted for Sasuke, right? You rooted, even though he had a great life up until like the age of 4 or 5, Boruto had a great life up until the age of 12. He had twice the time to have a happier life than Sasuke, but you still rooted for Sasuke in the end, right? And your overall thoughts of Boruto as a character for manga readers, people that have experienced his character up until this point, 48 chapters as of the recording of this video. How do you feel about his character as he stands right now? Love him, hate him, and in terms of the struggle that he's about to undergo of losing a lot of people he cares about, a lot of things that he loves, his village, everything. Can you sympathize with that? But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in.
It's nights like this, and times like this, what's that I can give another hit. But I've got this inside a switch, a natural